Today, we will answer the most critical and crucial questions about vaccines and vaccination. But first, I will give you 3 real-life examples which gives us clear image about vaccination. First, smallpox was a viral infection that killed nearly 500 million people worldwide, 5 times more than the combined fatalities of the world wars. A single cough or touch was enough to spread the virus. It was one of the most devastating diseases ever to exist. The main issue was that 1/3 of those infected would die, indicating that smallpox had a very high mortality rate. For instance, it was 30 times more lethal than the initial strain of COVID-19. Nowadays, smallpox no longer exists due to the effectiveness of vaccines, which have completely eradicated it from the world. The smallpox virus, known as the variola virus, is now only retained in several laboratories. This means the vaccine saved hundreds of millions of people from death. Another example is the rabies virus. Rabies, a deadly virus transmitted through animal bites, leads to certain death in humans if the vaccine is not administered. However, with vaccination, the cure rate is nearly 100%. This demonstrates that vaccines can effectively mitigate a 100% risk of death. The third example is COVID-19. Nowadays, COVID-19 vaccines are effective in preventing death and hospitalization in many cases. Now answer question: how do vaccines work? Vaccines train the body's immune system to recognize and fight off specific bacteria or viruses without causing the disease itself. There are several types of vaccines, but we will explain the most frequently used ones. Live attenuated vaccines contain a weakened but live form of the virus or bacteria. They can trigger an immune response in the body but cannot cause disease due to their weakened state. When we say attenuated, we mean, for example, that the virus has been grown in a laboratory multiple times. Over time, the virus adapts to the laboratory environment and, once injected into the body, can provoke an immune response without causing the disease. Common live attenuated vaccines include the measles, mumps, and rubella, MMR, vaccine and the chickenpox vaccine. It is also possible to alter some genes in bacteria to render them incapable of causing infection. The second type of vaccine is the inactivated vaccine. Here, viruses or bacteria are killed through heat, chemicals, or radiation. They cannot cause disease but can still prompt the immune system to respond. Examples include the polio vaccine and the hepatitis A vaccine. The third important breakthrough in vaccination is mRNA vaccines. These vaccines use messenger RNA to instruct cells in the body to produce a piece of the spike protein found on the surface of the virus. The immune system recognizes this and mounts an immune response against it. Live attenuated vaccines are considered very effective, as they cause long-lasting immunity and usually require only 1 or 2 doses. However, they can cause mild illness in some people with weakened immune systems. Inactivated vaccines are suitable for everyone but are weaker compared to live attenuated vaccines. mRNA vaccines are considered a breakthrough due to their high effectiveness and safety. For example, the effectiveness of the COVID-19 vaccine against the initial strain was around 80% in preventing disease, and nearly 100% in preventing hospitalization and death from COVID-19. While this effectiveness dropped with new strains such as Omicron, a booster dose can increase effectiveness back to around 90%. A booster dose further reduces the risk of death to near zero. Do vaccines contain harmful chemicals or ingredients? Usually, vaccines do not contain harmful chemicals. Concerns have been raised about substances like aluminum salts used in some vaccines to boost the body's response. However, the amount of aluminum used is tiny and has been considered safe for over 70 years, with no adverse effects noted. Thimerosal, a preservative that contains ethyl mercury, is used in some vaccines. Ethyl mercury is toxic in high doses, but the amount in vaccines is so small that it does not cause a toxic effect and is considered safe. Nevertheless, it has been removed from most childhood vaccines. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, and the World Health Organization, WHO, closely monitor vaccine safety. Can vaccines cause autism? No, vaccines do not cause autism. This is a common myth created by Dr. Andrew Wakefield, who had a financial interest in spreading the myth. Hundreds of studies have been conducted on vaccines and autism, and none have found a higher rate of autism in vaccinated children. All large-scale studies show that vaccines do not increase the risk of autism in children. Like any other medical procedure, vaccinations can have side effects, such as temporary increased temperature or irritability, but these side effects are temporary and will resolve on their own. Vaccines are one of the most intensively studied medical procedures and have no long-term side effects. If there are any significant long-lasting negative impacts, they are so rare that it is impossible to determine whether they are due to the vaccine or just random occurrences. One serious risk associated with vaccination is anaphylaxis, an allergic reaction to the vaccine. However, such reactions are extremely rare, occurring in approximately 1 case per 1 million vaccinations. Even if anaphylaxis develops, the chance of death from this reaction is less than 1%. This indicates that vaccines are extremely safe. Another important side effect to consider is Guillain-Barré syndrome (GBS), a rare disorder where the body's immune system attacks its own nerves. For instance, the seasonal influenza vaccine can slightly increase the risk of Guillain-Barré syndrome, but this risk remains exceedingly low, at about 1 case per 1 million vaccine doses. There have also been reports of myocarditis and pericarditis, particularly among young males who received the COVID-19 vaccine. However, such cases are also very rare and typically non-fatal. In summary, vaccination offers high effectiveness and safety. The potential risks that could hypothetically be associated with vaccination are usually much lower than the risks posed by the diseases being vaccinated against.